Greetings from New Brush. Good at branding, so switch the R and the U, becomes New Brush. And just look at the Brijvasi spirit. It's kind of amazing how beautiful it is. Wow. When I give classes, I give coming attractions. So I'll tell you what my strategy is. I'm going to read my Monday morning greetings. You know that I write one every week. So I wrote one for this occasion with a shocking title. Then, because it's Vyasa-puja, then I'm going to speak a little something about Guru Tattva. We'll also have one initiation today, so that'll kind of be the initiation speech. And then okay. Then I'm going to, you can all hear me? Okay. Then the main part of the class is going to be my realizations of that number that I never thought I would reach. And the psychology of that number, 75. That's the most. And then at the end, the Academy Awards. It's kind of an interesting subject. So first, my shocking essay, at least the title, Guruship and the Death of Bhakti. Maybe the title is too heavy, but there is a point there. Material consciousness means to think of oneself as the center of the world, and thus as the controller and enjoyer. Devotion means the opposite, to move away from that imagined center to instead become the humble servant of God. In this regard, here's how Sri Jiva Goswami describes the essence of bhakti in his treatise titled Bhakti Sandarbha. Therefore, an intelligent person should engage unflinchingly in the unalloyed devotional service of the Lord under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, whom he should accept as his worshipful deity and his very life and soul. Srimad Bhagavatam 11:237. What can be more challenging in cultivating bhakti than to accept such a position where one is highly worshipped by many and sometimes thousands? I remember the end of 1977, just after Srila Prabhupada had passed away. 11 sincere godbrothers, practically not one over 30, most not even with 8 years as a devotee, took up the mantle of guru. They all received the lavish worship worthy of an acharya. How do you think that worked out? You guessed it. Most didn't survive. How could they? Unless one is very spiritually advanced, the worship, puja, that is being offered to one as a guru, and the distinction, pratishta, that naturally follows, are the very things one must shun if there's any hope of gaining a taste for bhakti. At the time when my godbrothers took up that service, I thought they had the world. I certainly don't envy them now. They were put in many ways in the most unfortunate position, attempting to follow the path of utter humility and being put on a pedestal at the same time. but what to do. Although one of the principles of devotional service outlined in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is not to take many followers, the commentary in the verse also says that a sannyasi must accept disciples to increase his lineage. I was confused. Which is it? When I was asked to accept disciples, I therefore went to a senior Vaishnava for advice. I placed a seeming contradiction to him for clarity. I took his advice to heart. Don't think you are a guru. Do it as a service to your guru. And be careful to not take too many disciples. So that's the key. Many must nobly take up the mantle of leadership to push on Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission, but one must never embrace any designation other than, I am the humble servant of Guru and Krishna. Why am I writing this? Shortly, I will be 75. Soon my disciples will celebrate Vyasa-puja on my birthday. The worship will be lavish. In the midst of such pomp, it is important to remind myself, and thus others, that Vyasa-puja is meant for the worship of the parampara, disciplic succession. The guru is simply representing the previous masters and redirecting that honor to them. A great example of that mood. Quote, we are just sitting on the throne of our Guru Maharaj. This is at the Vyasa-puja in 1982 of Prabhupada's godbrother, Srila Bhakti Rakshaka Srila Dev Goswami. We are just sitting on the throne of our Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada. So this puja, this offering, must go to him, not to us. Our business is only to deliver it to him. So the students who have to go through us should give all honor and respect to our Guru Maharaj. The lesson is clear. If we remain simply the servant of Srila Prabhupada, our service will be the life, not the death of bhakti, whether we are doing service behind the scenes or whether we take the center stage. So, yeah, so that's Vyasa-puja. That's the understanding that the teacher is showing the disciples how to honor the lineage. It's not just the person, it's the lineage. Now, I wanted to mention also something about Guru Tattva. They say that there's 3 truths that are the most difficult to understand. Shiva Tattva, Dham Tattva, and Guru Tattva, because they deal with the intersection of the spiritual and the world. You know, like the Dham, you go to Vrindavan, it's a spiritual world. It's a little bit difficult to understand sometimes. So I wanted to speak something about that briefly. And no matter what I say, it won't be absolutely clear. Because but I'm going to try as much as I can to make it clear. And especially, I wanted to bring up one aspect of it to make clear. And that's the relationship between Diksha Guru and Siksha Guru. And the reason why I wanted to explain that, Yvette will take initiation today. And I'll tell the story about it. I was in Krishna Kumari's. We were doing some program, and she came to me and she said, I have a dilemma. And she said, the dilemma is that I feel the delegation of Krishna's authority and a relationship equally with yourself and Kaustubha Prabhu. So, you know, what should I do? And I tried to explain to her the non-difference of that principle. That although, you know, the Diksha and Siksha, the Diksha has a little bit of a function, a little bit. The main thing is Siksha. The main thing is Siksha. So I wanted to explain that principle. And I want to do it, one, with a an analogy that was given that I thought explained it really beautifully. Gail, your questions will never be able to be answered completely in this class. I read minds. There's already 1,000 questions, and I'm already wishing you. I'm already wishing you became a Catholic. That was the old joke. Okay. Yadanath, you remember that one? Okay. So it's a really a nice analogy, and it's the analogy is first that it is the war. How many of you have ever seen the movie The Longest Day? You know the war, Normandy in France, and they somehow had to cross the sea, and it was very dangerous. And there was a general, and he set the general strategy. But when you get on the beach, you need specific guidance under a commander, etc. So that's basically the difference, the general commitment and the specific instructions. But it's not a perfect analogy, because with Siksha Guru usually becomes the Diksha Guru. And that's also not an absolute principle either. So that guidance, that regular guidance is needed. And you can have one person that takes the formal commitment. He's usually a Siksha Guru. And, but you can have many Siksha Gurus. Generally, you're lucky to find one person in the Kali Yuga who you can repose faith in. So, then there's another example that I wanted to explain, which I thought was really helpful. Shai, one of your guides, Thanakeli, the wife of my godbrother Pritashrava, she brilliant lady. She used to give you instruction when you first came, didn't she? She's a brilliant person, and she wrote this article. And I think she was an electrical engineer before or something like that. So I'm going to say simply and try to explain it like this. At first, the analogy, there's an electrical source, there's a conduit, and then there's an appliance. So the electrical source is Krishna, and his energy, his instructions, his affection has to touch your heart, especially his authority. Because really, and I'm going to speak about this about 75, what really taking a guru means is your life is guided not by your mind, but by the truth, which is represented by the Guru Parampara, that knowledge, the person who represents that truth, and every part of your life. And that's the difficult part, because that's the door to bhakti, which is called surrender. So this is the basic thing. So there's that energetic source, and then there's the conduit, that's the Guru Parampara. And then I guess the appliance is the person who gets that energy. So the idea is, at least with Diksha, but not just Diksha, but the formality, but the commitment. The commitment. Commitment changes consciousness. And it's spiritual. Krishna accepts that commitment. And then there's some relationship, a family, you're connected. But once that commitment is there, and she made a beautiful analogy, the electricity is flowing down the whole line. So if you plug into another place, you get that same energy, that you have that commitment, that you have that faith. You get the same energy. And therefore, we've seen in our movement that sometimes, a sincere person takes up the post. He's been 8 years a devotee. He's never heard the word manjari before. He's never heard this, and I tell that my favorite story is when two young people took sannyas at the age of 21 and 22. And they went to South India to defeat all the philosophies. So they first went to Pejava Swami. there's 8 Madhva gurus. You can't, they're chosen by astrology when they're 12 years old. The rules and how strict they are. No one has fell down in 500 years, except one person had a problem. He went to the West. You're not supposed to cross the river. And then he came back with a picture of him and Laura and George Bush. You Democrats will be very happy they didn't allow him to worship the deity after that. So, and the Pejava Swami was the most respected of all. And they went in, and they're ready to defeat all opposing philosophies. And then they issued their challenge. And one was a French Canadian. I speak many languages, as you know. What are the 3 aspects of the absolute truth? And the Pejava Swami was laughing. So people, we mentioned already, people went away. But it didn't mean they couldn't link into that line is there. It was connected. Some, you may have needed a personal person, again, for that relationship, etc., but it wasn't essential. And I actually even know that practically, I would say, the 2 devotees I know in Vrindavan that are of ISKCON, that I know are on the highest platform of bhakti. Both of them, their gurus left, and they took shelter of Prabhupada. And what I liked about her explanation also is, which was very nice, is that she said one of the confusions is that there's a subjectivity in this. People have different personalities and connect in different ways. And it's all legitimate. And it's the same energy. One may have, and we don't want to neglect the living person and that kind of relationship and what that does. But, some people will have that relationship with that person that's generally it is, because that's the person who you took Siksha, you took Diksha, and you may have that relation. But in the modern age, you may not see that person again. He may have 10,000 disciples. But it may be someone that you live with closely, and that becomes prominent. Another person gets that connection, and then in a mature way, Prabhupada's direct instructions, books are guiding them step by step by step by step. That's also legitimate. But what people like to do is their subjective experience, they have to say, this is it. Like I saw, there was one argument. Some people said that, some of my God brothers were saying, no, some people say that Prabhupada takes you back to Godhead. No, no, your present guru takes you back to Godhead. But it's an argument from their subjective experience. And that's why I like this article that this Donna Cayley wrote. It's very, you plug in and you get that kind of connection. And saying this also, 75, we got to move on. People have to be empowered. So I want to establish that. I see Hari Kirtan here. I know he wrote me, people have some faith in him. He doesn't want to take initiated disciples, and Raghunath, people have approached him in that way. And, taking Siksha has to be emphasized, that you're really connecting, and you can really have faith in that person. So it'll be demonstrated today because Kastuba Prabhu is here and Yvette's taking initiation. I'll ask him to speak something. And then it's not, and also when she said she's going to take initiation from me, he didn't say, okay, now that's it, no more, this is not the thing. It doesn't, no. It's just the same thing. It's the same connection, the same faith, the same relationship. Of course, there's different types of Siksha gurus. One has that same delegation of authority, and another one gives relevant instructions. But this principle has to be established. And there's so many questions that have to be answered in this. What does the dictionary do actually do? What's the difference? There's so many things. But I'm showing my mind reading qualities with Gail here. It's such a strong like projection here. Okay, stop, please. I'm making it real simple today. Now, yeah, this 75. Okay. Here's what I thought, 75. I don't know what happened. I went into COVID. It was like 2 years. And then afterwards, everybody was 10 years older. And everybody kind of had that experience. What, what is going on? And then 75. And it really struck me. I can't hide anymore. I have to accept reality. There's a verse that we hide. The Bhagavatam says we all hide. We don't want to accept it. Deha patya kali pradishu atmasanyeshva satsvapi tesham pramada nidanam pashyati napashyati. That we don't accept. Pashyati, we see, but we don't see. And I think for me, it's like I have to face it. And it means something. I'm going to tell you what it means. I remember when I was a younger devotee, this BTG article came out, and Satsrup Maharaj wrote he was 40, and I was going, Bhishma, what is this? 40 years old? How can someone be 40 years old? That's so old. How can someone be 40 years old? Satyaraj is older than Prabhupada when he came to America. How do you like that? It's something. And then, okay, now, for me also, because I'll make a personal joke. This is my style, but I had a friend of mine, and he had a book called 101 Insults, and he wanted to find one for me. Now, if you're not from New York, you won't understand this, but the way people from New York express affection is insulting the person they love. It's actually a fact. it's So he found one for me, and it's true. You could be falling out of the Empire State Building, and at the 50th, you're so optimistic, you can be falling out from the Empire State Building, and at the 50th floor say, so far, so good. But, so but I realize now, this is coming up now. You can't, 75. By God's grace, my energy, my health is still pretty good, but it's happening. How much longer? And then I was thinking, okay, go to India. And then when I come back from India, I'm going to be 76, 77, 80 years old. And then how many people live longer than that? So I thought, like, okay, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Because it's fear. It's fear. It's ending. A sadhu in Vrindavan told me, he said that the fear of death is not the physical pain, because you can take drugs or you can go into coma. He says it's losing your attachments. And then I thought, the distress when you lost your cell phone. And then when you lose everything. And So how do you become fearless? And this is what I've said. This is my mission now. How do you become fearless? And this is how you become fearless, because the Bhagavatam says it. What is the duty of man is about to die? How can we become fearless at the time of death? But this was my personal experience. Everyone in their life has some challenges. And I call it like this. This is what we call material happiness. These are your desires, and this is how your life goes. And this is distress. This is your desires, and this is how your life goes. And then this is tragedy. This is your desires, and this is how your life goes, just the opposite way. So I had it was going the opposite way. So I took shelter in Gita Nagari, the cabin there that Satyajit Maharaj wrote the Leelamrita, and I began to chant. And I chanted a lot. And then I had this realization that when I'm doing spiritual activities, I had this realization. And the realization was that the activity I'm doing and the person that's doing it, the devotee, it doesn't end with death. And that's how you become fearless. But if the activities you're doing and the identity in which you're doing it is just in relationship with the body, then there's fear, because that person. And what is bhakti? Sarva pati vanir muktam tatparatvaina nirmalam. Why does damn speaker have to blow its nose? Okay. All right. Sometimes the guru has to chastise the speaker. So, um, so that's actually how you become fearless. So then I realized, okay, now the game's up. Even the optimism, everything, the game's up. It's 75. And then it really gets scary. 76, 77. So then what I have to do is I have to become completely absorbed. That's it. There's no other solution. And that includes the whole philosophy that Prabhupada gave us and every other self-help advice on gratitude and giving up hate and revenge and living and your life, etc. And it's not renunciation, it's dedication. That's the beauty of bhakti. So I just wanted to add a little Prabhupada here on this, and then the Academy Awards. The human form of life is a chance to return home back to Godhead. This chance should not be missed. One should not wait for death to come. Rather, one should begin spiritual life immediately. One who is serious about spiritual life should not waste a single moment. Every moment is valuable. The human form of life is obtained after many millions of births. Therefore, it should be utilized for the ultimate goal of life, which is self-realization. This material world is a place of misery, and we are simply wasting our time here. Therefore, we should immediately take to Krishna consciousness to get out of it. The human form of life is meant for understanding God. If we misuse this opportunity, it is spiritual suicide. And our philosophy, we work through our desires, etc., but it just means following the path of truth in all our lives, in every aspect of it. That's called Sharanagati, and that's the door to bhakti. Um, this one sadhu, I'm on his WhatsApp group. It's the only WhatsApp group I have, but he has about 10 sayings every day that are very powerful. So I picked out two. Do you ever wonder what happens to those who leave their body without doing any sadhana after taking birth as a human being? And this one, he said, to take initiation means to place the spiritual master's instructions above the dictation of one's own mind. It means the truth. That's what we're seeking it. We're seeking the truth. It doesn't mean just a person. It means a teaching. That's what coming to spiritual life means. Our own mind has guided us, and we're not happy, and we're not authorities in life. And then we try to find a tradition, etc. Some God is many traditions. They come down, you get linked to a tradition, you find a teacher, and you guide your life that way, and you live your life that way. And then you develop that kind of sentiment. So now the Academy Awards, what it was it's I was thinking of things to like speak here, that are relevant, because I speak all the time. When we started, this was the only event where I actually got to give like speak to everybody. But now, we're getting so much katha, so much teachings, etc. It's very, very wonderful. So I thought, what should I do here? And I had one idea, and I didn't do it because actually I thought, okay, this is silly. But the Academy Awards, it was for myself. But what it was like what I was going to do is like it is, and you're competing for yourself, so you're not winning anything. So it's like best original analogy of the year. So I had that, then uh, in the category of disappointment. And I had all these. I'm actually going to write something like that. But really, what I want, I couldn't figure out exactly, Elizabeth, what's the antonym to disappointment? I couldn't find like an opposite of disappointment. Can anybody think of something? What? Or opportunity. Like a statement, not disappointed, and I am pleased. Yeah. What? Pleased. Okay. In the category I am pleased, the nominees are. That's good. You got it. I knew you got a good brain there. In the category I am pleased. So, and that's the one I'd like to share to you. And then I'll give you the winner. Well, one was that people are really starting to hear as never before. They have the sage groups. I have my classes. There's so much opportunity for people to hear. And that's, I'm really happy about that. And that people are actually taking to it. And that wasn't before. And the other was how nicely the community is developing. And community means common interest above self-interest. So the winner is the Vyasa-puja community group. Really, isn't it? Okay. Vaidhi Bhakti, I'm on time. Okay. But that's 75, man. It is something. How did that happen? When? I just woke up one day. I'm going to be 75. Okay. the next part. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. And this is the beautiful feature of this Vyasa-puja that makes it more auspicious. That look how nicely they put the prominence of Prabhupada in his picture there. That's great. But isn't that beautiful? I mean, that was drawn just yesterday. And this idea is amazing. I feel like I should grab an umbrella and fly up. Yvette, you can come up now. Where are you? Yeah. You can just sit over there and then, okay. Okay. Okay, can everybody just kind of come here and sit down and okay, if Kastuva Prabhu, if you can come up, maybe say something here. You give but you give Kastuva the microphone? Okay. Sit there. Yes.
Om Jnanamarandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. This opportunity, well, this becomes an opportunity for me to give a bit of my homage to. It's all in the context of our ceremony here. Maharaj was speaking about how Diksha and Shiksha are one. It's the same principle working through, same energy coming through two different conduits. And I was thinking that that's how really Raghunath and I grew up. Like, my guru was a guru to Raghunath, and Raghunath's guru was a guru to me. And I can remember, even though it was nearly 40 years ago, my guru personally telling me, now you go and you learn Shastra from Dhanurdhara Swami. Because he was Shrotariyam, he was well versed, deeply understood the Shastra. And so he was able to, and this is one of Maharaj's one of his many great abilities, is to take Shastra, understand it in a particular way, take all the teachings from Prabhupada's books and the teachings from the Goswamis, and kind of process them in a particular way that when he spoke them, everybody was like, oh, now I understand it. It's uncanny. And he has people all around the world that were disciples of other gurus, other Diksha gurus, that saw him and continue to see him as a guru, in one sense, a very primary influence in their life, because he taught them Shastra. He gave them a taste and an understanding of Shastra like no one else could do. And so that's always been there in my life. Raghunath and I, we have our podcast every day. But largely primarily what's happening is we're sharing the Shastra when we're doing it well, in a way that was fed to us by Dhanurdhara Swami. And so if there's success in that podcast, it's really Maharaj's success. It's his energy being passed down through us. And beyond this, they say the guru is Shrotariyam Brahmanishtam, that they're situated on the spiritual plane. And this is so essential that, and probably all of us have witnessed this And I've witnessed it again and again and again and again and again. And this is maybe, for me, Maharaj's most endearing quality, is that he could see things in people that nobody else saw. Many, many times, I can't count how many times I've had Maharaj telling me how great this devotee is. Even the person's a very new devotee. And he's saying, oh, this person, have you met them yet? They are incredible. And many times, quite honestly, I've been like, are we talking about the same person, Maharaj? It's like, oh, yeah, you have to see.
I was on the 49th floor.
No, but in all seriousness, this isn't an ordinary thing. It's not naivety or it's not some kind of over optimism. It's really the mood of Srimati Radharani, right? That this is what we hear. Primary quality of Srimati Radharani is that she can see this person she feels this person's a better devotee than me, right? Let me take them forward. In order to see like that, you have to be on the spiritual platform. You have to have let go of your own ego. Because our tendency is that when we encounter other people, we think of them in terms of our own prestige. You know, how does this, if I bring this person into my life, if I'm close to them, how does it reflect on me and how people perceive me? And if you've entirely let go of that, you can see much deeper into other people because you don't have that, your own ego blocking it. And to be able to, and what to speak of, to be able to say, oh, look at this person, right? What they have to offer to Krishna. And if someone doesn't do that for you, it never comes out. It takes some special soul there to reach down and see what that is and give yourself an idea of what you can become in Krishna service. And that's something that I'm sure all of us have felt here. And it's something that I've seen again and again and again. So the fact that we all can sit here today is so much due to Dhanurdhara Swami's influence and really mercy is what it's called. That's grace. It's nothing deserved, it's something given. And it's Krishna's energy working through him. So thank you, Maharaj. We have that here today, who's very dear to us. She's got and I'm just trying to follow, his foot has the quality of true guru. And she has the qualities of a true disciple. And Maharaj was speaking earlier about it. Initiation means commitment, right? And commitment means full commitment, meaning when a person comes to the stage in life where they say, I get it now. I will not find happiness through any material arrangement in this world. I'm going to stop trying to constantly change this world so that it will work for my separate, independent happiness. Rather, I will bend to the will of the universe. I will bend to the will of Krishna. Right? That's the formula. I accept that formula now, and I let go. And that letting go of our past ideas about how we're going to find happiness and where we're going to find happiness, that letting go of that's called surrender. Right? Surrender is when we stop resisting. Right? Okay, I stop resisting now. Now I know what I have to do. It's crystal clear in my mind. And that that clarity, that guru will help you maintain that clarity and expand it, or that it would become still more and more clear. When Srila Prabhupada would speak at the time of initiations, he would most commonly speak about the 10 offenses to the holy name. And this is our process. In one sense, it's the simplest process, that simply by chanting this name, that everything will be revealed to you through that name. And Guru will help you maintain and increase your understanding of how sacred that name is. And all those 10 offenses, it's the Guru is giving you instructions how to, you can look at it in one sense in a negative spin, how to avoid the offenses. But really in a positive sense, you could say, help you understand how sacred everything in relation to Krishna is. How sacred Guru is, how sacred Vaishnavas are, how sacred the Shastra is, how sacred the name itself is. And so that you understand it properly, the more that we hold it sacred and really understand what it is, then that faith will grow and grow, and you'll chant that name with a deeper and deeper faith. And then this name will reveal everything to you. So Yvette has come to that place. She's committed like this. We can all see it in her. We see how she serves, both in the temple. I think she's kind of like a disciple that she's, in many ways, she just ran on her own ahead and just took up services. So she does wonderful service in the Philadelphia temple. She does wonderful services for the people of Philadelphia. And even in prison, she serves people. Her life is really a manifestation of compassion. And that compassion is indicative of her devotion. And so it's a joy to have her here today, and that your commitment that's already there in your heart, that become formalized here through your Diksha initiation.
So I'm going to chant on her beads. There's not many people, so we can do this here. Okay? And if you want, you can chant, meditate, whatever you want now. Okay. Is that one of the 4 rules?
Maharaj, I vow to follow the 4 regular principles: no eating meat, fish, or eggs, no intoxicants, no illicit sex, no gambling, and I vow to chant a minimum of 16 rounds of Maha Mantra a day.
Her name is Yogamaya Shakti Devi Dasi. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.